Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to a new CCMAR seminar. Today we have Hugo Pereira. Hugo did his PhD here at CCMAR at the MAR Biotech Research Group, working on isolation of macroalgae strains from natural environments, namely CTP4, that will use for macroalgae production. Currently, Hugo is a researcher in the Green Colab located here at the University of Algar. The Green Colab is a non-profit organization, a collaborative platform composed of one research center, the CCMAR, one state laboratory, the ALNAC, and one university, and four companies, namely All Macroalgae, NACON, Algar Plus and Spartus, with the common goal of advancing the R&D on the cultivation of algae and algae biomass downstream processing. The main objective of Green Colab is to generate a portfolio of new commercial products and services for algae-related industries that Hugo will talk about it. So Hugo, once you want to do your presentation, let's go for it.
Okay, thank you, Gilles, for the nice introduction. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes? And are the slides going on? Yes? Okay, perfect. So thank you, Gilles. First of all, I would like to acknowledge for the invitation from CCMAR and also from the PhD students group that organized these seminars. Myself, I have organized these seminars for almost 2 years, and I really believe that this is a very good initiative, and I'm very glad that it continues. So today I will try to give you a brief overview of Green Colab. So Green Colab is a non-profit organization, a collaborative platform that aims to catalyze the transfer of knowledge between the academia and industry in the broad field of algae biotechnology. The research and development agenda of Green Colab is based on the exploration of micro and macroalgae as well as cyanobacteria for different biotechnological applications. We are based here in the University of Algarve, but we have partners as well as our human resources spread all over Portugal. Green Colab is composed of 7 associates, so we have 3 academic partners, namely the Center of Marine Sciences, the National Laboratory of Energy and Geology, and the University of Aveiro. We also aggregate 3 algae producers, Necton, All Macroalgae, and Alga Plus. And finally, we have a feed producer, also very known here in CCMAR, which is Sparus, a feed company focused in the R&D nutrition and aquaculture. Although we have these 7 associates, very recently we have a new coming associate, which is Iberagá, which is a company dedicated to the processing of macroalgae for the production of agar-agar. Regarding our infrastructures, now we have 4 different spaces. We have a general laboratory with all the routine equipment in building 2. A new laboratory, which will be the Green Colab culture collection, which will have the culture collection of industrial strains, as well as different facilities to conduct very accurate experimental trials. Another facility here next to the CRIA, which is the Algae Refine Prototyping Center. So we are going to establish a pilot scale biorefinery pipeline here in the university, and finally office space with 8 open desks here next to CRIA also. Regarding the human resources, we are until now 14. So Rodrigo is the General Director of Green Colab, myself as the Innovation Manager, and then Peter and Ana Gonçalves are the principal researchers of Green Colab. Florinda, Cristina, Laís, Susana, Gabriel, Madalena, Daniel, the other Daniel, Rita, and Sofia, which are the different also researchers and technicians that compose our group. And soon, in the 1st of June, Monia will join the Green Colab, and in the 1st of July, Lisa Schuller will also join our team. So what do we do? Green Colab works in 3 main axes. the establishment of products, services, and also research. So regarding the products, we aim to prototype innovative technologies for algae industries, as well as algae-based products for different markets. As for example, the establishment of high-performing algal cultures, also low-cost photobioreactors, light systems tailored for microalgae and macroalgae cultivation, automation systems for the industry, the development of algae functional foods and feeds, biostimulants and biopesticides for the agriculture sector, and finally, the high-value applications in the use of algae-based materials for the production of nutraceuticals. Regarding the services, we aim to provide very specialized services, such as, for example, contract research. We can make the improvement of target phenotypes in different algae. Here is the example of the work conducted for all microalgae before, where we developed from their chlorella using random mutagenesis clones of different colors, namely a yellow and a white clone. This was very important for the company, but we can also provide other kind of contract research, as for example, the production of tailor-made biomass enriched in a target metabolite, also the domestication of novel strains, or as simple as the growth optimization of any algae culture. We also want to provide analytical services here, fully exclusive for algae biomass. Algae biomass is very tricky to work when we send our samples to certain laboratories that are not used to use this kind of feedstocks, and sometimes the analytics are not very well performed. So we believe that this is something that we can also provide to our partners as well as to third parties. This is something that we really want to invest. So we can make the proximal composition, the profiling of algal metabolites, as well as the assessment of the different algae biological activities. Also, molecular biology surfaces. This is something that we do already, so we can identify any macroalgae or cyanobacteria. Also, the identification of contaminants in the cultures, the characterization of the microbiome that grows with the algae cultures, and also the genetic characterization and NGS services. Another service is the modeling of data. We can get data from our partners as well as from third parties, and then develop models for their data. Also, one big effort, and now we have one person fully dedicated to this, which is to perform life cycle analysis and techno-economical analysis of algae processes, and finally, the bioinformatics services that we commonly do also. We can also provide student training, such as the short training programs or the supervision of any students. We also already make this to our partners. Normally, the students from all microalgae and Necton make the analytical part of their thesis here in the MAR Biotech group or in the Green Colab. And finally, since we have a very skilled team working with algae feedstocks, we aim to provide consulting services to third parties. So regarding research, we mainly focus on projects and publications. Until now, we have 6 projects approved and 11 peer-reviewed publications, but it is noteworthy to say that we are only operating for 1 year and 3 months. So Green Colab is a very recent institution, and we believe that this time this is a very good score. So we have 2 H2020 projects approved, ProFuture and the Algae for IBD. We also have 2 projects for networking, the Renewal and the iProd project, and we have 2 national projects, the Algae Refine, which is the project to develop the pilot scale biorefinery for algae biomass, and very recently the Algae Solutions, a project dedicated to find solutions for the algae industries. Nevertheless, we have several projects that are submitted now. we have all of these applications that we are currently waiting for the results. So what is the operational strategy? How do we work? And the way to execute our research agenda was to create these working groups, which reply to all the activities that we have in the projects, as well as the needs of our associates. So we have 5 working groups. The ALGASYNTEC group, which is led by Peter Schulz. It's a group dedicated to algal photosynthesis technology and modeling. Also the biostimulants group, led by Florinda. Will focus completely in the production of biostimulants and biopesticides from algae feedstocks. One working group dedicated to microalgae, because most of our researchers were very focused in microalgae. So we had a need to improve our skills in the macroalgae part. So we have a research group dedicated to these feedstocks. Also the gut performance group led by Ana Teresa, which focuses in the production of additives for aquaculture, mainly for the gut modulation of the larvae stage of fish. And finally, the contaminants group that is targeting the industrial algae contaminants that are a big burden in our associates. And very soon we will have 2 more working groups, the algae refine working group, which will develop novel algae ingredients using the biorefinery platform. And finally, the health algae group, which aims to produce new food products as well as nutraceuticals from the biomasses that our associates can provide. So very quickly, more in detail, the ALGASYNTEC group, the first part will be to establish a photosynthetic lab so that we can accurately measure the performance, the photosynthetic performance of our cultures. It also has a very big effort in the construction of prototypes. And here are some examples of prototypes that we are currently developing, such as a system to monitor the algae photosynthetic performance. Also, systems to improve the scale-up and the induction of target metabolites, and the lab algae and the orbital algae, which are state-of-the-art systems for performing experimental trials in a very accurate way. And the biostimulant group has this main objective. So we aim to develop accurate methodologies to determine the metabolites that are known to have the biostimulant effect, such as the auxins, gibberellins, and the cytokinins. Then the group will evaluate the biostimulant potential of all the algae and cyanobacteria that our partners can provide. And also a big effort on finding biopesticide molecules from this algae and to try in the end to prototype different algae-based biostimulants and biopesticides. And this is our end target. The macroalgae group was created, as I said before, to enhance the seaweeds research within Green Colab. The main activities until the end of the year will be to develop methodologies for species validation, also the cultivation of Gelíndio in an approach together with Professor Esther Serrão, also the methodologies for macroalgae transcriptomics and the development of an organic culture media for Alga Plus. The gut performance group will assess and explore algae as a sustainable ingredient for aquaculture. We are currently establishing in vitro trial to understand the gut modulation in a very fast way. And the idea is to prototype different ingredients that can be used as additives for aquaculture that can promote the gut health resistance in fish early life stages. And finally, the last working group is the contaminants. So contaminants are still a big issue for the algae producers. And until today, the research on this field is very scarce. So we aim to, at the first stage, to identify by molecular biology which are the contaminants that appear in the large-scale production systems of our partners. After the identification of the contaminants, we want to develop mitigation procedures to cope with these contaminants. We will try to do this first at the lab scale and then to implement these mitigation procedures in our partners. And the final scope, and this is within also the Algae Solutions project, the final objective of this working group is to develop a ready-to-use kit that can be used by companies or laboratories to easily identify the algal contaminants in the cultures. Apart from the working groups, we also want to establish some service platforms. We need to do this to support both the operational strategy, but also the financial income of Green Colab. So we want to do, as I said before, a pipeline of analytical services only working with algae feedstocks. Also the biorefinery, we can provide services related with the extraction at pilot scale, also the separation of compounds using membranes of different cutoffs. We'll also have spray dryer, hydrolysis tanks and other technologies that can be provided as services. The culture collection is also a platform that will happen in the near future. The idea is that we can provide our partners a service to maintain their cultures in a very active way, and this is very important for them. And in the future, more 3 platforms. So a platform for the determination of biological activities in algae feedstocks, and the molecular biology platform, and finally the life cycle analysis, which is also a service that we can provide both to our partners as well as to third parties. I would like to acknowledge everyone for your attention, and if you have any doubts, I'm very glad to reply. Thank you. Jill?
Thank you, Hugo, for your really nice presentation. Now we have a time for questions.
May I ask something? Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Peter Koutzman. I'm in the moment in the master from aquaculture, and I'm looking for a master thesis in direct.
Sorry, I'm losing the sound. I don't know if it's only me.
Back again? Can you hear me?
Yes, I only heard the beginning. Sorry, if you can repeat.
Yeah, so I'm studying the moment in the master course aquaculture, and here in Travel, and I'm looking for a master thesis for the next year with microalgae. Microalgae. My background is not just aquaculture; it's also phytopharmacy. So therefore, microalgae, especially all related in health products, is for me something that's extremely interesting. So is there any possibility from September on to see what's possible in direction of a master thesis in this area?
Yes, for sure. We are looking for students. We are now assembling the different infrastructures. We believe that in September everything will be ready to start working. I would be very glad if you can pass here in the office and we can discuss among the different researchers and to try to include you as a master student for the following year.
Okay, that would be absolutely great. Yeah, I will pass by. Thank you very much.
Yes, we are based in H8, so you can pass whenever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Fantastic. So we're working on a project with macroalgae, and what would be the best way to contact you? We are missing key pieces of the puzzle regarding biorefinery, especially things regarding membranes and and we would love to have like a partner to do like a pilot scale sample or test, like sort of a validation process. The issue we've had so far is that working with universities can take a long time. And so I was wondering what kind of time frame do you operate, and so on.
Okay, thank you for your question. We are now acquiring all the equipments. We will expect to start our biorefinery in September to have everything assembled and in operation. One of the things that we want really to implement in Green Colab is to have a very fast operation procedure so that we don't take too much time. If you want, you can contact me and I can try to help you in any way possible. But time-wise, I would say that we would only be possible to do any kind of this work after September.
Hugo, we have a question by Victor Choquet. Where is the algebra refinery will be carried?
Where will be, sorry, the lab?
It's on the chat.
Sorry, I've not seen. I'll share my.
Thank you, by the way, for your answer. I heard some of it and it cut off. Sorry for that.
Thank you. You can contact me and we can speak by email. Okay. Where is the chat?
Actually, it's me, if I can recall the questions. It was more wondering what sort of biofuel were you planning on studying? Was it bioethanol or biodiesel?
No, we are not very focused on the biofuels part. Our aim, Victor, is to dedicate the biorefinery for the isolation of high-value compounds. If we can do a biofuel from the leftovers, okay, but our focus will not be at all in the biofuel sector. We are very focused in isolation of not pure compounds, but very enriched fractions of carotenoids, omega-3, sulfated polysaccharides, and so on, that we can use for very high-value applications, such as the additive as for larvae in aquaculture or as a nutraceutical. Our concept is really on the high-value part of the algae feedstocks.
Mm-hmm. I understand. And where would be this alga refinery based?
The algae refinery is here in building 12 and in the laboratory E6. So we are now receiving the equipment. We already get some of them. We expect to have everything settled by September.
Okay, building 12, room 6. Okay, great. I would love to come check it out. Beautiful. I think, yeah. And in terms of per-evaporation membrane, no, it's not something you would have. Per-evaporation is usually used to retrieve aromatics from my broth or, yeah.
No, we didn't consider that part. We will have a high-capacity solvent evaporator, but mainly to deal with the extracts. But don't know if you are thinking about more on the part of the essential oils and so on. I did some in the lab, but in the pilot scale system, we don't foresee, for now, an equipment with that purpose.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying this part. And thank you for the presentation, it was great.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Hugo, I have a question about the gut performance working group on the development of standardized fast in vitro ex vivo screening method. Which methods you're going to use to do this?
Okay, maybe I'm not the best person to answer that, Gilles. Ana Teresa is fully in charge. I will give my best. So Ana is developing an explant method. So I know that she retrieves the part of the gut from the fish, and she's able to make some evaluation of the effect of the compounds of the algae in the in vitro model, and it takes into consideration also the microbiome. So we believe it's a very good approach, but I cannot explain in detail because Annie is really the one leading this process, and it's something that we are currently developing, and I don't feel comfortable to to tell you much more than this. Sorry.
I don't think there are more questions. So Hugo, thank you for your great presentation, and
Thank you.
good luck for all these projects that are going on Green Colab.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.